My name is Sarah Yole, and I'm with PG&E. I'm on our local government affairs team, and I'm here to welcome you today to this awesome event. Thank you to... I can't really go on without first thanking Bob and the team at the Walnut Creek Chamber for putting this on. There's a lot of work that goes into these events, so thank you. So this is the second year they've had this event, and when I came last year, I learned so much. I will say Walnut Creek gets a lot of my dollars, and I always look forward to hearing about all the new places that are going to get more of my dollars as I'm here shopping and eating in this awesome city. PG&E is honored to sponsor this event and to be part of this great community. So PG&E's responsibility as an energy provider goes far beyond our core mission of providing safe, reliable, affordable, and clean energy to our 16 million customers. We also have a responsibility to build a better future for everyone whose lives we touch. This means delivering for our hometowns, serving our planet, and leading with love. And yes, I did say leading with love. If you've ever heard our CEO speak, that's one of her big things, and at PG&E, we truly live by that. It means making it right and making it safe, helping drive clean energy technologies while also ensuring that their benefits are accessible to all, and it means helping communities build resilience against climate change, as well as thwarting climate change in ways that leave no one behind. So again, thank you for allowing us to be part of your community. Thank you for allowing us to be a good neighbor. And with that, I'd like to introduce Bob Linshine.
Wow, what a great turnout. It's so nice to see everyone here today to talk about the future of Walnut Creek. We couldn't do this event without our sponsors, and I particularly want to thank PG&E. Sarah Yule has been our constant contact, but also with PG&E here today is Stephanie Isaacson, who I've known since my days in San Francisco. And I just want to acknowledge her and the investment that PG&E has made in some of our initiatives, which includes our legendary East Bay Women's Conference coming up next month. There may be a few tickets still left. I'm not really sure. So, as it is our custom to have sponsors that help offset the cost of doing something of this nature, I want to acknowledge our sponsors, and I mentioned PG&E, but I also want to mention Kaiser Permanente, Visit Walnut Creek, Contra Costa Association of Realtors, Contra Costa Workforce Development Board, of course, the City of Walnut Creek, First Citizens Bank, DLHA Law Group, and Mount Diablo Resource and Recovery. Please help me thank them for their support. So the following companies are part of our Premier Investor Circle, and why we call them out significantly at this meeting is because the cost of delivering service goes up, but we want to make it affordable for small business. So these great firms contribute more to the organization to help make small business affordable for the Chamber, and I want to acknowledge them on the slide. Today, of course, we're honoring our respective members of the City Council who are here with our Mayor, Cindy Darling, Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Wilk, Councilmember Matt Francois, and Councilmember Dr. Craig DeVinny, and Councilmember Cindy Silva is traveling on behalf of the city. Please stand, council members, to be recognized, and thank them for being here today. We're honored also today, representing us in the U.S. Congress is Congressman Mark DeSaulnier. Mark DeSaulnier, please stand. And it's on the record that Walnut Creek is his favorite city in his district. I heard it on Tuesday night, City Council, right? He said that, so it's forever indelibly engraved. Mr. DeSaulnier and Walnut Creek is my favorite. Also representing Contra Costa County is Board Chair Candace Anderson and Supervisor Ken Carlson. Also, representing the Contra Costa Water District, we have 3 directors. Let me read their names, and you can thank them. Ernie Avila, Antonio Martinez, and Pat Young. Please stand. I'm blessed to be the CEO of a dynamic organization represented by boards of directors. We have our board of directors, our board chair, Matt Gashard, is here, and our foundation board. Would you all please stand and be recognized? There's too many names to mention. Thanks. I also want to thank my team for putting this on. Pauline led the charge, Jessica O'Day. The staff is here to serve you, so acknowledge the staff, please, from the chamber. We also want to acknowledge some of our past leaders. So you'll see Matt Gashard listed here as a past chair. Yep, we believe in resource and recovery and recycling. So please thank Linda Rymack Kohlberg, Angela Ashley, Matt Gashard, Ed Delbacaro, and Audrey G. So let me give a few brief remarks before we get to the important part of today's session. So today marks a defining moment for Walnut Creek as we gather to envision our city's future through 3 vital lenses: the safety of our neighborhoods, the vibrancy of our cherished downtown, and the boundless potential of our Shadelands, Walnut Creek. We are especially privileged to hear from our mayor about the priorities that will shape our city's trajectory. From our modest roots, Walnut Creek has blossomed into a crown jewel of Contra Costa County, a place where culture, commerce, and community intertwine to create something truly extraordinary. Our transformation speaks to both our resilience and our willingness to embrace thoughtful progress while honoring our heritage. Look around our city today. Broadway Plaza pulses with life, while our arts district enriches our souls. The majestic Mount D'Alba watches over our trails and open spaces, offering sanctuary to our fast-paced world. Yet, with this vitality comes responsibility. We must tackle it head-on, the challenges of housing affordability, sustainable development, and transportation while preserving the distinctive character that makes Walnut Creek uniquely ours. What makes today's conversation so powerful is the diversity of voices here in this room. We have multi-generation Walnut Creek families sitting right next to the newest neighbors. We have entrepreneurs who choose our city to build their dreams, artists who color our world, and educators who shape our future, and engaged citizens who strengthen our community fabric. The presentations we're about to hear are not just updates, they're catalysts for reimagining Walnut Creek can become. So let's embrace this moment with open minds and bold thinking, united in our commitment to making Walnut Creek not just a great city, but an exceptional one for everyone who calls it home. Now let's begin this crucial dialogue with the next part of our program. And that's our official meeting of the City Council. This is a public meeting, and we do have guests in the audience. It's my pleasure to introduce our mayor, Cindy Darling.
For those of you who regularly attend these kind of State of the City things, this is a new twist. We are convening this as a special meeting of the City Council at the request of the Attorney General of California. So this is the Thursday, February 20th, City Council special meeting at the Center for Community Arts, 1100 North Wiggett Lane. You can watch us on YouTube. And we are providing opportunity for public comment. If anybody is here that wants to provide public comment, we do have, now is the time. There are speaker cards in the back and a microphone back there. You would have 1 minute to give us your public comment. Anyone? Okay, so that was all good. Now we're moving on.
So the next portion of our agenda, well, we didn't expect that. You know, when you offer the opportunity for an open mic, you expect, well, we're on time. So I'm going to ask Caitlin Sly, the Chamber Board Chair-elect, to join our mayor for the next portion of our agenda, which is a fireside chat. It's a little warm in here, so we decided not to light a fire. So take it away.
But I'm so excited to be here and get to have this opportunity to chat. This is an event I look forward to every year because it's an opportunity for us as the community to be able to hear directly from the mayor and hear what's going on in the city. So I think, like everyone, I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I am lucky enough to get to know Mayor Darling on a personal level too, and so this is even more fun.
Yes, I heard I got to do a chat with Caitlin. I'm like, yes, I scored.
So let's start with the hard-hitting question, which is, tell us what it's like to be mayor. What is? I think we all have an idea of what being the mayor is, but we probably are a little off base in what that actually is.
The job of mayor in Walnut Creek, obviously you all know we rotate it and we take turns. What you get out of being mayor is an opportunity to represent the city in a lot of great circumstances. I got to go, Doris Kawakami's father-in-law had his 100th birthday, so I got to go recognize him for his 100th birthday. And the assisted living where he lives were like, where's your entourage? I'm like, I'm the mayor of Walnut Creek. We don't have an entourage. I drive a Toyota RAV4, and it's just me. So that's fun, but it's great also working as part of the team on the council. You know, we have a lot of important things that we have underway, and we are working together as a team to continue to make the government here in Walnut Creek as effective as possible at taking care of the interests of everybody here. So it's a lot of fun. Every now and then it's a little terrifying, and that was 4 in the morning last night. And I'm like, nope, I got this.
When you think about this audience.
Yeah, they're good. They're piece of cake.
So, you know, in my role, I am the CEO of the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano, and so we do a lot to serve the community and rely a lot on federal funds, as does the City of Walnut Creek. So I know we've seen a lot of changes happening, a lot of kind of chaos at the federal level. How do you expect those changes to affect the city?
In interesting ways that we don't really always able to predict. We are in a wait and see mode. Our financial exposure within the city appears relatively small, but we recognize that our nonprofit partners, other levels of government such as the county, are facing challenges, and we are trying to continue on with the efforts that we've all identified as being important to us and continue and carry that forward. Congressman DeSaulnier did come to the council meeting on Tuesday night and talk about the funding that the city gets typically comes either as community block grants, which we use to fund our nonprofit partners, or as community benefits, like the help we got with the upgrade to the law enforcement radio system, the paving on Ignacio Valley Road. And I love Congressman DeSaulnier's optimism. He is hopeful that those community benefit type projects that come from the federal government, where we work in partnership and identify the things that are important to us that have a federal role, that he is optimistic that those will continue to happen. But experience from 4 years ago has shown us that time will pass differently in this federal administration. It's kind of like the dog year thing. So 4 years could feel like 24 because the last month has felt like a lot. So wait and see.
So a little over a week ago, the City Council had its annual planning session, which I know is a really important endeavor for the city to update the council priorities. Can you share with us a little bit about those new priorities and what, once you establish the priorities, then what?
Yeah. So we have a 2-year budget cycle and a 2-year cycle where the city council goes through and says, what are the important things that we're hearing from our community that we need to pay attention to over the next 2 years? And so we we're looking at the big picture direction. There's lots of things that go on in this city that continue to happen regardless of what our priorities are. But it's kind of the things that the council needs to get the extra oomph to. And you will see there's 5 priorities. 4 of them are continuing over from previous efforts. Economic development and downtown vitality are ongoing priorities. It's one of the most important things that we as the council face. We want to have strong, diverse, forward-looking economy that works for everybody. We have an economic development action plan. We will continue to implement that. It includes like permit streamlining, flexible land use planning, and downtown enhancements. The next priority that's also a carryover is environmental sustainability and climate change. That we adopted our sustainability action plan in the last go-around. Now we are looking to make sure that we continue to play that leadership role in achieving a greener, more sustainable Walnut Creek. We are on the cusp on our next one, which is parks and infrastructure. We are on our cusp of achieving something the city has been working at for a very long time. So we want to drive to completion on the new Aquatics and Community Center at Heather Farm. The goal right now is toes in the water in 2027, and we are going to make sure we do that. We also need to start looking ahead because we did a lot of planning to get to that being our highest priority, but we have heard from our members, pickleball, bocce ball, bike safety, a lot of other things. So we need to start figuring out, we're gonna have a big hole in the ground where Clark Swim Center used to be, and what are we gonna do with that? The next priority is public safety. That is something we heard when we did our polling prior to putting Measure O on the ballot. It is one of the top priorities for pretty much everybody in Walnut Creek. So we have been working, you'll hear from Chief Knox later, but we have been working to make sure we have an effective and innovative police department. They have done a lot of hard work over the last couple of years and proactively responding to crime trends, helping their officers feel supported and feel well trained. But we also have programs within the city, innovative responses to mental health and homelessness, and we're going to continue those because that's an important part of keeping our community safe. There are 2 other public safety challenges we're going to be putting some extra attention into. One is traffic safety. We adopted a traffic safety overarching guidance document. We'll be fleshing that out. We have had several tragedies recently. An individual hit on his bike, a young woman hit at the farmer's market. We want to make sure that we're keeping people safe and giving them different opportunities for transportation. And then the last thing is we are seeing changes with climate change that mean we need to be resilient. We need to be ready for floods, fires that are beyond what we would normally plan for, so we need to do that. So those are the 4, oh yeah, we're still doing those. And so now the new one coming in is the general plan. The last time this city did its general plan, it was before the Great Recession, it was before COVID, it was before iPhones, it was before remote work, it was before my kids were toddlers and they're getting married. So a lot has changed. And why is a general plan important? It's important in government to be effective, to think short term, but to think long term. And that general plan is the long-term vision for where we as the city want to be. And so you'll see a lot of community outreach, a lot of opportunities to speak to us about what you want to see this city. What do we want to look like in 20 years? And that's going to be an important part of our priorities. So lots of fun stuff happening.
So keeping it short and not a whole lot of ambition sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but we have great staff here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you touched a little bit on kind of floods and fires. I know we're just horrified by all of the fires in LA and Southern California. So given that, how does Walnut Creek prepare to respond to things like that?
I mean, emergency preparedness is baked in. We work closely with our water district partners. We work closely with Confire to make sure that we're ready for whatever happens. But as we saw with first Santa Rosa, Paradise, Greenville, LA, is you can have a fire that can overwhelm the best prepared system. And so that's where the individual homeowners, the individual residents come into play. We will have new local area responsibility maps coming out here shortly. So everybody should go look it up on the city website in a couple weeks and figure out how severe is the fire threat for their house. We have suggestions on there of how to make it more likely that your house will be the one the news crew will say, hey, look at this house is still standing. But the other thing that has been really important is people being ready in an emergency. And this can be anything. We want everybody to go and sign up get those wonderful Nixle alerts that tell you when Ignacio Valley Road has a tree down on it or there's a fire. So 888-777. You text that number and say WC alert, all one word, and you will be part of our Nixle family, and we will be able to reach out and tell you what's going on. And that in an emergency is probably one of the most important things that you can do, and have your go bag. But
Absolutely. No, I get those Nixle alerts, and they're super helpful, just, if anything, to plan traffic. But in an emergency, really important. And I know as an organization that provides disaster response, it's really important that our community stay prepared. It's less disaster response we have to do if everybody is prepared to keep their family safe. Another thing that we hear about a lot is housing and housing affordability. And I know that Walnut Creek has a new housing element, which all cities had to do and was quite a heavy lift. So congratulations, first of all, on having a housing element. But Walnut Creek has ambitious plans to meet those goals set by the state. And so maybe you could talk to us a little bit about some of the housing projects that are in the pipeline.
Yeah, we have in our housing element a commitment to do a little over 5,800 new housing units, which is more than we did in it's an 8-year RENA cycle. So that's an ambitious goal. We have also specific requirements related to affordability. We need to produce a good chunk of those units as affordable for people that have median or below incomes. And to date, we have 1,400 housing units that are making their way through the development process. They're all at different stages. They're different types of housing, ADUs, senior housing, new high-density housing downtown, and more traditional single-family neighborhood. But of those 1,400, only 309 fit in the category of affordable. So we are constantly having to look for new ways to bring those units online. And why is that so important? Obviously it's important because we're trying to comply with the state mandate. But if you look at the city of Walnut Creek, our median income is about $180,000. And with the $180,000, which is high, much higher than many other cities' median, with that, just running the calculators on bank rate, you could probably get a house that's $500,000 and $600,000. And I don't know about you guys, but I obsessively go on Zillow, and everything that I've seen that's $500 or $600, they have handyman special, and I've seen some, it's just really, really hard. And, I'm recognizing that now. Our kids are getting married this year. I want them to live close because they're going to have grandbabies. I want those grandbabies close. I want this city to be welcoming to those young people because those are the innovators. Those are the new employees. Those are what the business owners are looking for when they decide on where they're going to locate. So we want to make sure that we are a community that's welcoming to people at all the different economic levels. So we're working at it. It is a big lift, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's something that we see at the food bank too, of people having to make those choices between do I pay for housing and do I pay for food, and so anything the city can do to make it more affordable. And I agree, not often you can look on Zillow and find a $500,000 house in Walnut Creek. So important work that I know is a heavy lift. So particularly of interest to this group, I would imagine, is economic development. And so as the city embarks on your update to the general plan, what are some of the big focuses of economic development that you're looking at?
Yeah, we're gonna start the conversation with you guys, but we know right off the bat that as we focus on long-term economic growth, we have to look at right-sizing retail and office space relative to the regional trends that are going on. A lot of building owners are finding that their vacancy rates are going up as people go to work from home. Those workspaces need to be more flexible. So one of the things that we are going to be doing is aligning our zoning with the market needs. I think when we did a lot of our specific plans, we envisioned retail further afield, but I think we need to make sure that we're keeping our downtown core more activated with the regional. We need to continue to improve opportunities for high-paying jobs to locate here. And we need to because we have to keep our jobs and our housing in balance. We don't want to be a bedroom community. We don't want to be just a community where service workers come in every day and then leave. We have to keep everything balanced. So we're going to be spending a fair amount of time on that as we go into the general plan.
And as we are in Shadelands,
We're in Shadelands.
Where does Shadelands fit into that vision?
It's a big economic development opportunity for the city, and we have, when we did our big rezoning back in 2016, I think Luella said we let everything happen out here that doesn't smell or blow up. And we've seen a really good resurgence in sports, medical uses. We have a great brew pub out here. We have a lot of different kinds of things moving into the area. We need to continue to manage the evolution of the area. And with the PBID, with the work that they have done lately, we have seen things like placemaking, and we have micromobility. We're going to continue to try to make sure that that we're flexible here, that we take advantage of opportunities, and we continue to create a mix that works for everybody, and have it be some place that people think about, like, oh yeah, I'm thirsty, I'm going to Calicraft, so we want to kind of make it that regional destination.
No, I agree, and I think as a resident of Walnut Creek who lives kind of on the other side, it's often that we think about Shadelands for medical.
Yeah.
And we don't think of it as much as a destination. But then when you come out here and you see the breweries and all the fun stuff to do, it's so the work of the Shadelands PBID has been.
Yes, and we've got our great bus wraps and a lot of other things that are really eye-catching, and a great color palette.
Yes, yes. So I'm hoping you could talk to us a little bit about Measure O. And how its revenue has been allocated across the various city departments since its implementation, and kind of what that has looked like in terms of outcomes.
Yeah, it's Measure O, and first of all, thank you to everybody that helped us run the campaign, that voted for it. It was a great vote of confidence on the part of the citizens of Walnut Creek that the city is doing. They trust us to do the right thing with Measure O. We have been able to accomplish quite a bit so far. We have our 5 new police officers that have come on board. I think the last one just graduated from the academy. So we also have a crime prevention specialist that Chief Knox can talk about. But that public safety component is strong. Our sustainability action plan, we have a sustainability team, including a couple interns and a manager that are now running that program. And we really appreciate the opportunity to have them shepherd that going forward. Our libraries, we are partnering with the county for 12 additional hours at both of our libraries, where we have 2 libraries. So we have the additional hours that the kids need to do their after-school work and things like that. We also partner with our school districts. We have 13 crossing guards at various locations around the city. Our job is to help kids get to school safely. And we heard from the districts a while back that they were having a hard time keeping those crossing guards. We are going to have an all-weather field at Heather Farm, so soccer kids can play year-round, and lights at Tice Valley, so kids can play at night. And that aquatic and community center, toes in the water in 2027. We have a lot of work to do, and Rich Payne is sitting right there, and he is so happy all the time whenever we talk about this. I'm like, okay, Rich, you're good? And he goes, oh yeah, we're good. So we're really working hard to do all of those things that people expected with Measure O, and we're hopefully going to be delivering.
And so, in terms of what we can look forward to, I know a lot of people are excited about the aquatic center. Maybe you can tell us a little bit of like what that's going to look like.
We have plans now, so you can see them on the city's website. We've also picked the art that's going to be there. The community center will be adjacent to the aquatic center. The community center will be a very light-filled space that will look out on we call it the cement pond, as differentiating from the natural pond. But it'll have great views out there. It'll be a great location for events such as this, weddings, other things like that. And then the aquatic center will have basically two pools, one that is more competition, and we worked very closely with the Aquatics Foundation to make sure that it meets their needs. And then we have another pool that will include some competitive features, but it'll also include the splash features that the little kids like, and it's not a lazy river. I forget what the exact name is. There's a technical term for it, but a current area where people will be able to enjoy themselves on a hot day. So it's a lot of good things coming. The artwork on it is just spectacular. The community center, the one inside is called Poppies, and it comes down from the ceiling, and it's a wooden structure that looks like California poppies.
Oh, wow.
It'll be fun.
That's
It'll be
really-
fun. It'll be
that's great.
beautiful. 2027.
2027. Well,
2027. Where's Rich? I saw him. Ooh, Kevin and Rich are right there.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Well, as the mom of an 8-month-old, I'm very excited for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I think another thing that always comes up is transportation and infrastructure. And so maybe you could talk to us a little bit about how Walnut Creek is changing your transportation infrastructure to accommodate a lot of differences we've seen in commute patterns and micro-mobility options, and as you mentioned, traffic safety.
Yeah, there's kind of three different areas that we're trying to be responsive to. One is we have a lot more DoorDash, a lot more Amazon, a lot more Uber. Maybe someday we'll have Waymo. We got to ride in a Waymo the other day in San Francisco. I did that. So we've been looking at how do we reallocate our curbs, where do we have 15-minute zones downtown, how do we deal with the bus networks 4 and 5 that serve downtown, so we can figure out how to make that work downtown. Then we have the transportation safety part of things. We are working towards the idea of Vision Zero, which is an effort to make sure, to acknowledge that people, when they are driving, sometimes make mistakes. And so we should have a transportation system so that when somebody makes a mistake, it's not fatal. And that is a matter of making sure that we keep speeds in check when there's the potential for people walking or biking. So we want to make it safe to walk, to bike, to ride a scooter. We have to address e-bikes. You just wait till kids are old enough for e-bikes. It's like, and then the last thing is our transportation. So transportation is one of the big sources of greenhouse gases, and we want to really make sure that we're making our transportation system more efficient and helping people use less greenhouse gas intensive ways of getting around and have the opportunity. There's charging ports here and around the city, so as we switch to electric vehicles, that we are ready for that. So there's a lot of different things going on there. So we're trying to balance everything and make it, again, safe for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that's really important whenever you're going through these planning activities is to get community engagement and community input, and you all do a really good job of that. But I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit about different community engagement tools and platforms that the city is using so that you can get that engagement from the folks that we don't hear from as much, and the traditionally underrepresented groups.
Yeah, we have, we've all are living in a communications universe where it's splintered. There's 400 different ways to reach everybody. You can text them, you can do that, and it's not, no offense, Dan, but we don't all sit down and watch the evening news like we used to. So how do we get the information out to people, and how do we hear back from them? And so what we're trying to do is be in as many of those places as people are. We're not quite on TikTok yet, but we're out on social media. We also still have things like the Nutshell, because we have a significant older population that's how they get their news. They still want to read stuff. We're trying a bunch of different things, and we're seeing some success. When we last recruited for our commissions, we had the goal of making sure we got out to people that would not normally think about being on a commission. And so we picked the brains of everybody at one of the chair breakfasts, and we got the largest number of applications ever, and probably the most diverse. We have a huge age range. We have a number of different cultural perspectives now on our commissions that we didn't have before. And we got that by being out there in all the different nooks and crannies of the communications world. We are also testing new community engagement tools so that we can see where the input is coming from, and so we can do more statistical. If you just put something on Nextdoor and ask people to vote, that is not statistically significant in spite of what the people on Nextdoor think. So we're trying to figure out how we can do that with the communication that we're putting out there in the world by tracking who's responding and making sure we're getting a good suite of responses. It is a challenge. It is a challenge that we face in so many different ways in our community, but we're trying.
Absolutely. Well, I think we all feel overwhelmed by communication so often, and but coming from somebody who consumes a lot of information, I read the Nutshell.
I read the Nutshell.
I
You guys all read the
Dan.
Nutshell?
I watch
Yeah.
Dan, but I also do
Yeah.
social media, so it's all the things and keeping track of how you communicate in all those different ways.
My husband always is amazed. We're watching Dan, but I'm also scrolling on my phone. No offense.
Multitasking.
Multitasking.
We have to do it.
It's the mom way.
It is the mom way, for sure. So about going back to environmental sustainability, I know that's something that's top of mind for us. Can you talk a little bit about the climate action plan and how we look at citywide emissions and what reduction targets you all are setting?
We did, the staff did a great inventory of all the different sources of greenhouse gases, and they concluded that those are primarily coming from transportation and from houses that were built prior to the new building codes, and commercial buildings that were built prior to the new building codes. So we are going through right now looking at all the different ways we can help people find modes of transportation that have a lower greenhouse gas footprint, either electric vehicles, alternative sources of getting around, and design our city so you can use those. And then we're also looking at ways to help people electrify their houses, reduce the energy consumption in their house. And then the city itself we're working with MCE to do an in-depth review of all the different facilities like this one. How can we do better ourselves? We've signed up for Deep Green, so the city is using 100% reliable electricity. So we're trying to walk the walk and do the talk, and we are going to deal with leaf blowers at some point. That was like one of the number one comments on our sustainability action plan, is people were up to here with leaf blowers.
Thank you. And so maybe, I know we're going to hear from Chief Knox, but maybe you can also talk a little bit about what data-driven approaches Walnut Creek is using when it comes to public safety and enhancing community policing, and kind of how you evaluate those methods.
That is one thing, and you'll see when the chief gets up here, the dude likes his data and he uses it, and that's actually really, really an important part of public safety in a lot of different ways, because you need to understand what are the actual crime trends and not just your preconceived notion of what is crime and where that might be coming from. So we are, we brought on, I don't know if we've hired them yet, I'll have to ask the chief, but we have a crime specialist that is going to be doing that, looking at the data and figuring out what the trends are, where to deploy the officers. We've also done a lot with training for our officers, helping them feel better supported, helping them, we have active bystander training so that if something, they're under a tremendous amount of stress and they are in a job that can go from being really boring one minute to incredibly exciting the next. And so how can they help each other deal with a situation that's difficult? And we have active bystander training now to normalize the idea that if you see one of your fellow law enforcement officers kind of getting to the end of their rope, that you help them. And so they've done a lot of that within the culture of the police department to really make it more effective, safer, better support for the officers.
And I think one thing that, it comes up a lot in conversation is how we ask so much of police officers with regards to mental health and responding to some of those community needs. Could you talk a little bit about the way the city partners with the county and different other entities to address some of those issues?
Yeah, we partnered with the other cities in Contra Costa County to reach out to the Board of Supervisors when Measure X was passed to highlight the need to have an alternative response in the event of a mental health crisis, because a lot of times the only people answering the phone were police officers who are not necessarily the best equipped. And through the great work that the county's done, we have the A3 program, which is a non-police mental health response. They are deployed around the county, and I have heard just great stories from their staff of chances that, they'll get a call from somebody that's feeling upset and feeling like hurting themselves, and they've been able to respond and talk people out of it. That model gets people the help they need, and if it's a situation where there is a public safety component, they can go with an officer, but they're coming together so that they can deal with the issue as safely for everybody as they can. So it's been a great, and we really appreciate everything our staff did to help put it together and the county did to get it implemented. It's made a big difference, I think, in our community.
Yeah, it's so important because we don't train police officers to be mental health professionals.
No.
Nor do we necessarily want to do that.
No.
So it's a great partnership, and I think it's an important thing to highlight for the community. Talking a bit about diversity and inclusion, could you talk about some of the specific policies that Walnut Creek has implemented to really ensure equitable services to the community?
I mean, we've done a lot of work on this over the last, 4, 5, 6 years. And, for example, the recruitment of the people for our commissions, that represented an opportunity to get a bigger set of voices in the room. I know our arts and rec folks have done a great job of looking at their programs to say, okay, do they have something for everybody? And so they have, partnered with the disabled community. They have partnered with children that have sensitivity to noise and light, so that now when we have the skate rink, we have an opportunity where kids can go that ordinarily would be easily overwhelmed. We have a quiet hour so they can go there. So we're just making those spaces within the community so that we see everybody and everybody has a chance to feel honored. I know with the federal changes, there's been a lot of talk about, do we still need to do this? We recognized Black History Month at the council meeting this week. This is the 99th year that we've recognized that has been in existence. And I think it's just a good chance for us all to stop and think about where the world has been, where we're going, and how the diversity of the human experience really makes us stronger if we work at it together. So we're continuing to do the best we can with our tools at hand and make everybody feel safe and comfortable and help them succeed.
That's great. And I know that's something the chamber fully stands behind, and making Walnut Creek a welcoming place where everybody feels like they want to come and play and work and live. So.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much.
And I want to thank you for not asking hard questions.
Oh, I asked you tell us about being mayor. No, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know this is a wonderful opportunity for us all to hear directly from the mayor and to hear what updates are happening with Walnut Creek. So just thank you so much for the time and for the thoughtful answers and conversation. So
Thank you guys
please
all.
join me.
Okay, it's my honor now to introduce Deneen Wolford from Kaiser Permanente, who's going to introduce our chief, and then Angela Ashley after. So Deneen is the Public Affairs Director for Kaiser Permanente's Diablo service area. She oversees the internal and external communications for the service area, as well as local implementation of community and government relations and community benefit functions. She'll introduce the chief, as I mentioned, and then follow that with Angela Ashley. So Deneen, please come forward.
Good afternoon. As Bob mentioned, I am a Public Affairs Director for the Kaiser Permanente's Diablo service area, and it's so nice to be here with all of you. There are many familiar faces in the room, and we are very committed and look forward and love working in partnership with the community. We have been in the community for over 70 years. And we take great pride in the services we provide to our members who live and work in Walnut Creek and the surrounding areas. And right next door, we have Park Shadelands Medical Office Building and our site leadership team here today. So very excited to have them with us. I'm honored to introduce Jamie Knox, the Chief of Police for the City of Walnut Creek. Chief Knox brings with him extensive law enforcement experience and a steadfast commitment to community-oriented policing. Since taking leadership of the police department, Chief Knox has focused on strengthening community partnerships, enhancing officer training, and implementing data-driven approaches to public safety. Today, Chief Knox will present a comprehensive overview of public safety in Walnut Creek and outline strategic priorities for ensuring our community's security and well-being in the years ahead. Please join me in welcoming Chief Knox.
I didn't know the mayor knew I was a data dude. No one's seen this presentation except for Bob Lynchide because he pried it out of my hands at the council meeting. All right. All right, it's working. That's always a good sign when your technology is working. So, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me. First, I like to start off with any presentation and talk about our mission statement. Our mission is to protect and serve the community through professional conduct and proactive enforcement of the law. This is just a brief overview of our department with our organizational chart. It's a very traditional model in most police departments this size. So we have two major divisions. Each division is headed by a captain. I'd like to introduce Operations Captain Ryan Hibbs right over there. And he is one of the primary people responsible for some of the successes that I'll talk about today. Captain Hibbs oversees the largest division in the department, which includes the Patrol Bureau, the Traffic Bureau, and Special Operations, which includes things like SWAT, our Crisis Negotiation Team, our drone team, our Bomb Squad, and then our Reserve Division. And then the other division is the administrative division. That's all of the things that you don't see. It's behind the scenes stuff with the exception of parking enforcement. That's our investigations bureau, our professional standards unit, which oversees personnel and training, hiring, best practices, and internal affairs. And then the support services division, which it's its own division because it's a large division as well, which is communications in our 911 center, records bureau, police services, and then property and evidence. So you may be asking yourself, what is the current state of safety in Walnut Creek? Well, last year was our lowest crime year in over a decade, overtaking the year before that. And then, I don't know where Dan, oh, there's Dan. When Dan Buckshire hired me, I told him, hey, you're never going to see me stand in front of an audience and take credit for a low crime rate. But on the flip side, if crime goes up, you can't blame me. So publicly, I'd like to see if I could retract that statement just for today. In all seriousness, I wanted to give a huge shout out and a very sincere thank you to my staff, the brave men and women of the police department who man our 911 center and who are out there pushing those patrol cars 24/7 and keeping us safe. So thank you. All right, well, the mayor was right. I'm a data dude. So I'm going to throw a lot of data at you, but there's some really interesting things here, and I think it's important to share all this. And Dan Ashley is going to give you a pop quiz at the end of the presentation, so take notes. So in 2015 and 2019, those were our highest crime years in the last decade. 2020 was kind of an outlier. It was the lowest, but you'll hear me talk about this, and the data shows. Remember, during the pandemic, people were not out and about as much as they were previous years, and after the pandemic, everybody sort of changed their lifestyle a little bit. So you'll see crime kind of ebbs and flows throughout the year, but right now it's very low. And in 2021, you can see by the data, we saw those levels sort of return to what I would call normal. It sounds weird saying that, but every city deals with crime. So this is our property crime then and now. This is 10 years ago, a decade ago. It's 1 year's worth of data compared to last year's data. And you can see that we've brought property crime down significantly. And it's not just us. There's a variety of factors that go into that, and I'll get into that in a moment. But remarkably, property crime is down 31% from where it was 10 years ago. Shoplifting, not the same story. So according to the National Retail Federation and the Loss Prevention Research Council, in 2023, 93% of retail stakeholders stated that shoplifters are more violent now than they were before, several years prior. 84% said that violence is more of a concern in the past year alone, and 93% said it was harder to hire employees in the retail spaces because of their fear of violent shoplifters. So, and I'll talk more about that later. But and shortly you'll see that that trend is here. So shoplifting's up 114% where it was 10 years ago. So that's remarkable. And we are a high target area. We have a lot of retail here. So, but why is it up so much? So when I first got here, we had a problem in this city where a lot of people were not calling us when they saw people steal. After 2020, public sentiment changed a little bit when it came to petty crimes, but we were getting plagued with these crimes, so I walked the footbeat and went into retailers and talked to some grocery stores and met with their loss prevention personnel and asked them, hey, please call us, because when they leave your store, maybe you can absorb that loss, but some of the smaller businesses can't. And now these same people are emboldened to go to these smaller businesses and do the same crime. So we have this problem of these repeat offenders going out there. And so, yeah, they're calling us more. And so it stands to reason that we might see a little bit of an uptick as well. So this is remarkable. Theft from vehicles, 2015 and 2019 were our largest years for theft from vehicle. And I didn't do the math, but in 2019, that's the highest number. That's almost 1,000 thefts from vehicle. Our total crime in the city is usually on a high year, maybe in the 2,300 to 2,500 range. So that's a significant portion of overall crime in the city. So as you can see over the years, that has really come down quite a bit. Why? We don't know. I have a couple of theories. One theory is it could be underreporting. Another theory is that people are getting smarter. We have, been on a campaign to encourage residents to lock their valuables up, but it's kind of like a lottery. If you're a thief, sometimes they'll break the window anyway, right? They break the window, they look in the center console and they find something. So you've hidden it, which is step one, that's good. But it's better just to not have it there at all, because if they do find something in that center console that they couldn't see, or something in the trunk, they're probably going to go try that again. And so the best advice I can give you is to not keep any valuables in your vehicle. But to go from almost 1,000 in 2019 down to less than 300 last year is pretty remarkable. So, and that's a credit to our citizens, I would say. All right, well, this is where it's not so great, unfortunately, but I'll talk about this. Don't be alarmed. So this is violent crime. The bronze bar represents total violent crime, and then the aggravated assaults is represented by the silver bar. And you can see something interesting happened in summer of 2022. We transitioned to the new FBI standards of reporting. So in the past, we would report we could have a single incident with multiple crimes during that incident. You could have a home invasion robbery with assaults and other egregious crimes. We would only report the most heinous crime, or in the FBI's hierarchy, to the FBI, and that was standard. Everybody did that, and that's how we come up with our crime rate. In 2022, that standard changed. California was one of the last 11 states to get on board with the FBI's crime reporting. So now we're doing that. So it gives the illusion that our violent crime is going up. That's not necessarily, it doesn't tell the whole picture. So I'm not alarmed. You should not be either. Let's talk about robberies, because we have had some street robberies over the last few years that, especially in the downtown area, that gave people some concern. And this is a snapshot of our robberies over the last 6 years. And that might seem like a lot, but again, I'm going to go back to the violence related to shoplifting in a minute, and I'll bring all of this together. So remember, we had all these Rolex robberies a couple of years ago. It began in 2022, and it sort of heated up in the summer of 2023. So this is a representation of all of our downtown robberies over the last 3 years. So we had 6 robberies downtown involving a firearm between 2022 and 2023. 2 of those cases are suspended. These are mostly Rolex robberies. And then we have no more suspect leads on those cases, so 2 of them. 3 cases have had charges filed after being assigned to one of our best detectives. In other cases, assigned to that same detective. Every Rolex robbery this detective has been assigned to, she has identified suspects, and they've made arrests. I'm not mentioning her name because she's on a task force, and it's very secret squirrel stuff, but she's quite amazing. Now, if you look at the bronze bar, those are known as Estes robberies, which is what happens when somebody goes into a store and shoplifts, and as they try to leave, they're confronted usually by loss prevention or an employee. Then they use force or fear to complete the theft, and then they leave. So that's why it looks like we have, what are those? The robberies on the bronze bar, that's a lot, right? Well, those are those shoplift robberies. So not necessarily random attacks on people, but someone just trying to commit a shoplifting. All right, so that's the picture of just robberies in downtown. So not as bad as you might think if you just look at those shoplifting numbers. It's a real problem here, though. All right, so we're getting into some fun stuff now. So how do we compare to other cities? Well, Walnut Creek is the green bar up there. I would say we're right in the middle. These are the top 15 cities as far as population goes in the county. So I just looked at cities with 25,000 residents or more and looked at their crime rates. I had to do all this math myself. My husband asked me, I was working at home, my husband asked me, he's like, why are you doing this? Don't you have a crime analyst or captains? And I was like, well, the captains are busy, and I like doing this stuff, so. Ryan, you're doing this next year. All right, so because The lion's share of our crime here is property crime. Before that reporting change, what the FBI was talking about, 95% of our crime was property crime. Now it's about 90% due to the reporting change. So stands to reason you're not going to see much of a shift here when we look just at property crime. With the annual violent crime rate, though, we do see a little bit of a shift, and you can see some sort of normal ranges here. And these are not based on size of city. This is based on the actual violent crime rate per 1,000 residents. So when I look at that, I think that Walnut Creek is a really safe place to live, work, and play. Hopefully you agree. Okay, so how effective are we? Like, how good are we? How good are we at our job? And so what we look at is clearance rates. And in 2023, we cleared 43% of our violent crime and 14% of our property crime. If you can imagine how many property crime numbers we have, it's a lot to ask. In the grand scheme of things, I have a small detective bureau. We have about 10 detectives. It's not fully staffed right now, but they do the best job that they can, and they do a darn good job, too. So how do we clear a case? Well, a case is generally cleared when we identify a suspect and make an arrest, or at least get an arrest warrant. And speaking of arrests, since 2020, this is our kind of our arrest report card, if you will. Again, 2020, that year was sort of an outlier. We were kind of slow to get back into the groove of things, as you can see, and this public sentiment was across the nation. We were reevaluating our police strategies, reevaluating the contacts that we made, and we were trying to be a little bit more circumspect at how we did our job. But just like, downtown's thriving and business is good in Walnut Creek, business is good in the police department too. We made a lot of arrests last year. And by the way, 70% of our, what I would call clientele, do not live here. They come from outside the city. And I took some more notes. I did some more research last minute. I can't leave well enough alone. So I was just going to land on this slide and say, yeah, so during arrest situations, we use force less than 1% of the time. But I saw a study, and I was looking at this study. So in 2022, there were more than 600 police departments that this firm studied. And they looked at use of force specifically, and what they found was that nationally, on average, police use of force was 1.2 incidents per 1,000 residents based on these over 600 cities. So I said, okay, well, in that case, I need to do that math for us. What does that look like in Walnut Creek? Well, we had 11 uses of force last year with all of those arrests, with 1,500 arrests. That is 0.16 use of force incidents per 1,000 residents compared to 1.2. And that's a credit to the men and women of my police department being able to de-escalate situations and treat people with dignity and respect. So I really thought that was remarkable and worth sharing. Okay, how do we compare when we clear these crimes? How do we compare with other cities? Pretty good. I would say we're above average. I was hoping that number would be higher, but we'll get there. But pretty good. And property crime, we do a really good job too. I wish it was a little higher, but I was looking at these numbers, and there's a few cities that are doing it really, really well, and one city in particular, and I called the chief earlier this week, and I said, hey, what are you doing? How are you getting these clearance rates so high? And he said, technology. And we talked, and I'll talk a little bit about technology in a minute, so we'll be focused on that in the future for sure. I know vehicle accidents is a real problem in this city, and we've had some fatalities over the last several years. There was a couple years where we had fatalities that were at the number 3 for the city, which is way too much for a city this size. But we have a real traffic problem here, and the number 1 primary collision factor in injury crashes is speed. So we really need people to slow down. So we will be working on that. So, almost done, Bob, I swear. The future. What is the future of the Walnut Creek Police Department? Well, we are going to be focused on being effective and innovative, and this is our commitment to you. We're going to focus on safety, prevention, preparedness, accountability, transparency, and maintaining and building our healthy police culture. So we'll talk about each of these things just briefly. So as far as safety goes, we're going to be intensely focused on high visibility enforcement. That means traffic safety, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and crime deterrence. We know that high visibility enforcement works because we have brought crime downtown very low, and there was a community member, the business community member, that thanked our staff just today because they've seen such a change in the atmosphere in downtown. So we know that high visibility enforcement works, so we're going to continue to do that. And prevention, the mayor mentioned that we have a crime prevention specialist. I'm really excited to say that I've given a job offer to somebody, so she's in background. I'm hoping that she joins our team in maybe the next 8 weeks. She has promised me that she's going to build the best crime prevention program from the ground up, and I want to thank our HR team who had to sift through 200 applications we got, which was incredible, and a lot of really qualified people, so thank you so much for your help with that. And we're going to be focused on community partnerships with our residents and our businesses, and leveraging technology. Okay, this is kind of a fun slide. I'm a photo guy, so I thought this was a great photograph. Anybody know what kind of bird this is? It's a peregrine falcon. It's a raptor. It's a bird of prey. What's so significant about that bird? It's the fastest animal on the planet. And we have this technology called Peregrine, which this other agency was using. Matter of fact, it was the first agency that Peregrine developed their system with. And it is fast. It is like Google for cops and detectives. And when I saw this software demoed for the first time, my jaw about hit the floor. And I'm like, where was this when I was a young cop? I would have been solving crime left and right. Anyway, that is here. So I'm hoping when we start getting data in this year that we see those clearance rates come up a bit. So Ryan, you got your work cut out for you. And we are adding more ALPR or license plate reader cameras. I'm really happy. We just kicked off a project that has been a couple years in the making. So we're going to be adding strategically throughout the city some more license plate reader cameras. This has proven to be highly effective in solving crime. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but and we're going to be intensely focused on emergency preparedness. We're going to prioritize this throughout the community, not only for preparedness, but for our disaster response, evacuation readiness. But make no mistake, we are ready. As the mayor mentioned, you have a solid police force. Our staffing strength is healthy right now. Our cops get injured sometimes because, it's just the nature of the job. So if I just can keep everybody healthy and on the street, we'll be in good shape. And we're also going to focus on our accountability. We hold ourselves to the highest standard. We have a police chief's community advisory board that's been very helpful to me. We have our professional standards unit that I created about 3 years ago, and that is kind of the mechanism in our police department that's always looking at everything, auditing our training. How many pursuits do we have? Are we getting in on-duty vehicle collisions? Do we need more training in this, more training in that? So our ultimate goal is to adhere to best practices and have the best police department that we can. This is our last year's community advisory board, and this is me with the Youth Commission in my office. 2 of my seats on the advisory board come from nominations from the Youth Commission, so I'm very proud of that and their involvement. And transparency, we're committed to more transparency in what we do. We went through a website redesign recently. We're reporting more of our data, and we're increasing our community access. This is just a snapshot of our website. Feel free to poke around. If you have any feedback, let me know. And finally, our police culture. We're going to continue to grow our police culture in a positive way. Most of our staff, we're probably about 95, 99% trained on the ABLE project, which is the Active Bystandership and Law Enforcement. If you didn't see the wonderful story Dan Ashley did on the news about the ABLE project in Walnut Creek, you missed out. We sort of became a flagship agency for this program, and I'm really proud of that. And it's a peer intervention program, and we're committed to the health and wellness of our police officers. And with that, hopefully I didn't go over time, I will open it up for any questions. Oh, he's going to give you the mic because we're videoing.
Thank you, Charles Crowley, Transportation Commissioner. Great presentation. Once you get your clientele in the house, how are we doing with prosecutions?
That's a good question. So the DA's office, we have a very good relationship with our DA's office, and sometimes they will add additional charges to the cases, but the justice system is imperfect. And the disappointing thing is sometimes we book people, we take them to jail, and they're out the next day. So it's kind of a combination of, I think, the DA's office and the probation department and the judges need to work together to try to keep people who really need to be in jail. Gone are the days where you sat in jail until your trial date. It just doesn't happen. Part of it is the challenges involving COVID and just the reevaluation of how they processed people. And I mean, if you have a fully stacked jail, it comes with a host of other problems, and I get that. But it is frustrating to community members when we book people, and you know, people can snoop around on the websites and see who's in custody and who isn't, and they figure it out. So yeah, that's a good question, but the DA's office has been a great partner. Any other questions? Come on, curveballs, I'm ready. I got all the data right here. Okay. Thank you.
Before I introduce our next distinguished speaker, I want to just acknowledge Mayor Darling and Caitlin for a great conversation up here. It was really engaging, and I felt like I was in the lodge with you by the fire, so thank you very much. And then secondly, Chief Knox wanted to say that at Kaiser Permanente, both of our sites here, our site leadership team speak highly of the work with your team and with Chief Knox. So we appreciate your support of our work. I am pleased to introduce Angela Ashley. As the chair of the Shadelands Property Owners District Steering Committee and an executive board member of the Walnut Creek Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau, Angela guides key initiatives that shape the future of our city. Through her law firm, DLHA Law, and dedicated community service, she exemplifies leadership and civic engagement. Please give a warm welcome to Angela Ashley.
All right. Hey, everybody. How are you? Good afternoon. And this is wonderful. I'm so excited to have this event take place at Shadelands. How great is this room, right? As Deneen said, I am the chair of the Shadelands PBID Committee, which stands for Property-Based Improvement District. Thanks, Bob. Property-Based Improvement District, which is a public-private partnership funding projects to improve a commercial area. Our commitment is basically a group of property owners or representatives who have a vested interest in making sure that Shadelands stays vibrant, thriving, and evolving. Shadelands is a 270-acre multi-use district that includes many different types of businesses and properties. It's made up of 3.4 million square feet, which is approximately 1.5 million office space. But as we know, it has much more than that. A sportsplex, grocery store, healthcare facilities and providers, but it also has retail sales, restaurants, and other amenities. Shadelands dates back to 1852, when a man named Hiram Penniman purchased 500 acres of land from a fruit farm for his commercial orchard in the Ignacio Valley. It's now evolved to a thriving world-class regional business and lifestyle destination. The PBID committee was established almost accidentally. At that time, the chamber was engaged in an outreach to businesses to try to grow its membership. I was the chair of the chamber at that time, and we were looking to find members outside of the core downtown area. And we thought, what about checking out Shadelands? We tried to find a database, any kind of documentation, any kind of information about who was there, what types of businesses, and we found out that Shadelands had no central database, no ability for the businesses to organize, improve, address crime, or deal with growing vacancies as a unified group. So the BBID committee was formed after a series of town hall-like meetings, a lot of meetings, and I know because I was there. We literally went door to door to businesses to see if they would be interested in joining. From there, the PBID slowly evolved into what it is today. The PBID listens to the concerns of the district, conceptualizes growth and vitality, and in response to that, develops a collective vision. So here's our vision. Promote safety and community, and this means create a welcoming environment for businesses and residents, at the same time building a sense of community and pride. Attract businesses, support the growth of innovative companies in health tech and sports tech, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, as well as other supporting businesses. Enhance infrastructure, meaning promote sustainable practices and infrastructure improvements. And develop branding and marketing. That means increasing awareness and visibility of Shadelands as a premier business district. We're really proud of our marketing. You might have seen our posters down at BART or our wrap on the bus. Very colorful. We love our logo and our color scheme. And I want to outline some of our successes. Public safety and community engagement. For public safety, we had a forum in December 2025 hosted by Lieutenant Holly Connors, which brought together business owners, law enforcement, and community members to discuss safety initiatives and crime prevention in Shadelands. The homeless outreach team, led by Sergeant Gary Silva, has enhanced security and provided resources to unhoused individuals, improving the district's overall safety and well-being. Additionally, one of the best things about Shadelands, in my opinion, is its vitality and cohesion. To encourage that, the committee collaborates with businesses in the city to present events and special amenities, like the Food Truck Thursdays, which is very popular. And then we chamber partners with other businesses to create other events, like Cali Craft Bash, which is hugely popular. Go Blaine. The bus launch, ribbon cuttings, a wellness group, and the ever-popular Made in the Shade, which is a big event. It's been hugely popular. It grows in numbers every year, held at the Sportsplex for parents, children, families, and sports enthusiasts. Under business development and innovation, a health tech and sports tech funders and founders event was held, hosted in January 2025. This event attracted over 100 entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and business leaders. Discussions centered around fostering innovation and building a dynamic ecosystem in the health tech and sports tech areas, setting the foundation for long-term growth. This was hugely successful, and we got an incredible amount of positive feedback from this event. People said it was the first time they'd ever been to an event like this. There's also an event hosting brokers, and our economic development working group continues to see how we can enhance Shadelands. Under transportation, the committee is working with property owners, and they have successfully secured the commitments for 75 additional EV charging stations out of a targeted 100 to 150, with more in the pipeline. This progress aligns with the state funding initiatives and Shadelands' goal of promoting sustainability. We work hand in hand with the city on things like bike lanes, crosswalks, and sidewalk improvements. And last, I want to delve into branding and marketing success. As I said, we developed a brand rollout. A well-received marketing campaign successfully launched the new Shadelands brand, reinforcing its identity as a hub for innovation and business. For business visibility and wayfinding, temporary signage has been installed to highlight the diverse businesses in Shadelands, helping visitors and potential visitors navigate the district. And you might have seen these. These are the 16-foot curved flags that identify the types of businesses at Shadelands, because there's a lot of setbacks there, so a lot of times people don't know the types of businesses that are there. Comprehensive business directory, the first ever fully detailed listing of all companies in Shadelands has been compiled, confirming the presence of over 300 firms and solidifying the ability to locate them. Website and social media, the launch of www.visitshadelands.com, and active engagement on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn have significantly increased Shadelands' digital presence. The Shadelands Scene, as our online communication publication, is hugely successful as well, and we invite property owners and businesses to post articles, updates, or news. So what are our strategic priorities for 2025 and 2026? Improve wayfinding, signage, and transportation, and we're very involved in that right now, to really enhance the internal wayfinding within Shadelands and improve access routes in collaboration with the city and property owners, to expand linked trips and transit options to better connect businesses and visitors. Second, continue branding and marketing efforts, strengthen the promotional campaigns to attract more businesses and visitors, increase engagement through digital platforms and targeted outreach. Third, advance health tech and business tech growth. We want to build on the momentum of that health tech and sports tech initiatives that I spoke about earlier, as well as the Funders and Founders event, by fostering more partnerships and funding opportunities. And continue attracting innovative businesses in medical and sports technology. Fourth, strengthen business attraction and partnerships, working with the city, property owners, commercial brokers, and the Chamber of Commerce. We want to drive business investment and retention. Retention's critical to Shadelands. All of this would be done in partnership with the City of Walnut Creek, of course. So to wrap up, I want to say that Shadelands, which is near and dear to my heart, has made significant strides in safety, sustainability, branding, and business development. With a strong foundation and a clear roadmap, we will continue to enhance its position as a premier business and innovation hub in Walnut Creek. Looking ahead, Shadelands is poised for even greater success 2025 and 2026 and beyond. And I want to thank you for your time and thank the members of the PBID committee, the city for its support and partnership with the Chamber, and the Chamber for leading the way and maintaining its guidance for all these changes to evolve. So thank you and have a wonderful day.
So we're about halfway through. I am kidding, Dan. I do have a board meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock, so we'll be done by then. No, I was actually remiss in not introducing by accident two public servants that are here in the room. Representing Senator Tim Grayson is Angela Pack, if she's still here. And then, thank you, Angela. And representing Assemblymember Rebecca Bauer-Cahan is Sharice Cound, who's here. So it's my pleasure to introduce one of our partners. Our strong representation at Walnut Creek Downtown comes via Kathy Hemingway as Executive Director, and our next speaker, Brian Harahar, who's President, one more time, for the Walnut Creek Downtown Association Board. His presentations are always very interesting and informative, and I'm setting him up for great success. Brian, come on forward.
Thanks, Bob. I'm going to start by saying a little disclaimer. I'm coming off of a really bad cold, as you can tell. So I'm on meds. So if I'm a little loopy or loopier than normal, it's the meds. Keep that in mind. Let's see. Okay. So first I'm going to give you a kind of rundown. I'm not going to hit everything, but the high points of new tenants downtown as well as ones that are coming. Hopefully some of them will be new. If you live under a rock, Pinstripes opened up, which is a big deal. There are about 18 across the country, and they chose Walnut Creek, which is a big deal. Bowling, bocce ball, tons of private events. It's all been a long time coming, so that's been a great addition to the downtown. And this is Broadway Plaza. I'm sorry, I'm going with first. Rivian is coming this summer. Oh, no. Rivian, let's see. This is this summer. Not coincidentally, who knows, but right across from Tesla. So if you're shopping or if you want to get one of each, you can go right there. Vuori is my go-to. I'm not a Lululemon guy. It's too, whatever, but it's super soft workout stuff. No offense to the women here. I know that a lot of you wear that. In the old Banana Republic space, super excited about that, and that will be this summer as well. Scipio's is open, and it's next to Macy's, next to True Food Kitchen. Low alcohol, non-alcohol, and some alcohol, but in a light Mediterranean menu, which is a nice option to have. I actually had, during dry, boring January, a non-alcoholic cocktail, and it was actually quite good. Original Joe's. So Joe Stein, back there in the corner, the skinny guy. Can you wave, please? Can you wave? That is the original Joe in my book in Walnut Creek. He's the owner of Sunrise, your tasty lunch today. So sorry, but sorry, Joe, I had to. It's the meds. But Original Joe's is a big deal. I think they only have 3. Very anticipated opening. Very exciting, again, that they chose Walnut Creek with so many few restaurants this spring as well. So there's a lot coming around the corner. Another one that I don't have a picture for is Herman Miller in the fall of this year, which is furniture, and Mango, go figure, is apparel for men, women, and kids. So next I'm going to go what I call on the kind of more on the periphery of downtown. This is the former hospice thrift shop in front of Whole Foods. And it's Paris Baguette. And it's funny, as I got ready for this presentation, I noticed that we don't have something for a long time, and all of a sudden we get 3 of them. I'm not sure why. Model was first, and then Paris Baguette, but a great concept. I think will do really well here. As I mentioned, so this is Poppy Bank at the Agora, which is right across from Kaiser. It was TD Ameritrade before. Right next to it to the left, you can barely see, and I took a close-up, used to be Starbucks. This is Marvel Cakes, number 2 of 3, on Newell. French bakery, French teas. It's actually a really nice space, and it was busy when I went in there. They're known for these crazy round croissant cronut things that are low calorie, low carb, and everything else. Right across from Trader Joe's was the old Pinky's Pizza that's been vacant forever. Is going to be a Bear Bottle Brewery. So we haven't had a downtown brewery, so that's a nice addition. But we'll be getting another one soon. I'll mention that later. This is the old, I'm blanking out, Baja Fresh, next to Habit Grill in Yogurtland. Just small but meshy, Indian. And I've heard it's good. So I haven't tried it. It's on my list of many restaurants I want to try. North Main, going back to Model Bakery. Again, if you live under a rock, they opened a few months ago. big deal. They pretty much rebuilt that building. It's a very old building, famous for their English muffins. I talked to the owner chef, and she said it was their #1 day of sales of their famous English muffins ever. So that, and they're using it as a mini distribution center to Whole Foods and other outlets. So again, they chose Walnut Creek, which is great. That's 3 of 3 for bakeries. Davidson and Licht is on Main Street. They have a beautiful store. And they are going through a major remodel, multi-million-dollar remodel, very interesting. They went and are doing a temporary pop-up in the old P.F. Chang's. I went in there the other day. It does not look anything like a Chinese restaurant anymore. The amount of money they spent for a temporary, and that's who they are, they're a jewelry store. It does not smell like a Chinese restaurant, which I thought was nice. I fully expected that. This is the rendering of what it's going to be. And it's amazing, multi-million-dollar remodel. They still have jewelry, but they will also have special watch brands that have their own little boutiques within the store. So Cartier is the only one I recognize. The other ones, I wear an Apple Watch. So they're all these really high-end names, but I think it's very interesting. Again, they're investing all this money in a beautiful store to do something new. Kind of another jewelry store, very different. This is the old Phoenix Salon, kind of across from City Hall. They purchased the property, doing a major remodel. This is what it's going to look like. A little different from Davidson and Licht, and all I'll say, and nothing wrong with it. They chose Walnut Creek, and they've got customers, but they sell dental grills, which I didn't know what that was. It's jewelry on teeth, I guess. But there's obviously a market for it. I'll probably shoot my daughter if she goes in there, but it's something different. And again, they chose Walnut Creek. It's the meds, I'm telling you. Let's see. This is actually our building, our tenant. We're really proud of her. This is Chateau. The owner is Raquel. She had a charcuterie board business that was catering, and she did this restaurant, small plates, charcuterie boards, cocktails. She's crushing it. It's a beautiful space. The women love it. It's very women-centric for some reason. She's doing so well. It's only been a few months and we've got an alley on the side, more kind of like Vadavi, creating that vibe. She's already doing a pop-up next door, and we're working with her to expand and do a full bar on that side. So great to see on Main Street a small tenant. We took some risk on her, but she's crushing it. So glad to see. Right to the right of that is the old Cream. I've been working with that owner, neighbor, and he finally kicked out the fortune teller. So I just didn't think that was good for the street. Sorry. I got a hex on me now, so I'm kind of screwed. On the left, Holly Homegrowns is on the right side. Great art, like local makers type of business. I'm a big fan of hers. And then on the left side, next to Chateau, he's close to signing a lease with a cafe with a Turkish twist. So again, something different and new. Next is Gibson's. Jeff Dudum, please stand. Thank you. So I got to share it's the meds. This is the old Krogan's building on Locust. That building, any of the buildings that you see that have been vacant for years or decades are the same owner. Jeff cracked the code and leased it from him, so give him a lot of credit. It's an Irish pub. I'm full-blood Irish, so I can't wait to get in there. I hear good things, and it's dual pianos. So, to see, I did not think that would ever get leased because that's just been the history of that owner. So kudos to you. Hopefully you can fill some more of those vacant buildings he owns. Tilly's, which is to the left of Cheesecake Factory, is going to be a Northern Italia, which is a sister Italian concept of Cheesecake Factory. So another large format restaurant. I guess Joe's is Italian too, so getting our second one. But obviously, Cheesecake Factory does well enough that they're going to put another concept in there. Retail being converted to restaurant, which is more common these days because retail is challenging and the restaurant market is very strong in Walnut Creek. Next, to the left of Steinway is Gusto, which is focaccia pizza. Very good, again, something different. Bottom Bunk, which is to the left of the Leisure Center, which lasted about a minute, is now going to be a Tifa, which is a chocolate and gelato shop. Okay, we get surprise some people. And when I mentioned the threes, we had Handel's, which I don't have a picture of, which is killing it next to the theater. And we got Annie's gelato, and then here's number 3, Tifa. So they're coming in threes for whatever reason. Hard to see, this is on Locust. They don't even have a sign. It's called Daryush, which is Persian food, and it came really highly recommended to me, and it's good. So that's one. It's very busy too. So nice little surprise. I don't have a picture, but Fizz opened up finally, Champagne Bar on I guess that's Bonanza. This is next on Giamona, next to Scipolini's. This has been a whole series of restaurants. Once a restaurant, always a restaurant. It's going to be Sweet Maple. It's been in the works for a long time. Breakfast, lunch, Millionaire's Bacon, they're famous for. They have several of those, so that will be a great addition. We don't have enough breakfast places, I don't think, in downtown Walnut Creek. So next is the old Extreme Pizza. Sad to see them go. That is going to be Marufuku Ramen, which is a highly regarded Japanese-based ramen place. So another great addition. Ironically, the only ramen place we have is right on the other side of the building. So owned by the same owner. I don't get that. But this is the Phillips Building on Cypress, which the A1 Shoe Repairs on the corner on the right side. Very small space, Mr. Dewey's Cashew Creamery. And I've been talking to these guys for years. They've been looking here. It is a cashew-based, plant-based ice cream. So I'm low cholesterol, so for me, I'm really happy. Nice alternative. Well, I guess that's 4 ice cream now, so I broke my theory. The old PG&E building on Bonanza, this old tired building, is going to be Stereo 41. It's under construction, putting a ton of money in the building, converting PG&E building again into a restaurant. I don't know the menu, but it's going to have a DJ as an element of it. So again, something different and new that I think will be embraced by the community. This has been in the works for a long time. This is a pad in the garden center at Target. Is going to be an F&M Bank headquarters. So again, F&M Bank is going to make it their headquarters for their company. I hear that from another bank that they moved their headquarters here, that they look at Walnut Creek as the financial center for, the East Bay. So kudos to Walnut Creek. This is the former Relax the Back store on California. And this is just one of those long-term, they'll probably be take some time, but I don't have anything to show because there's no application, but there was an application for a large multi-store mixed-use project that came into the city council. Owner owns a good part of the block. It's going to be a big project, but it got turned down 3-2, so I would expect that to come back with a downsized project. It's next to the Almond Chewy neighborhood, which makes it a little bit challenging. But we need residential as well, so that's the balancing act. The city, and the city council. This is on Mount Diablo Boulevard. This is that Slice House on your right. So it's to the left of that, the former Walnut Creek Automotive property from it's a parking lot now. And it's a approved it some time back for 42, I believe, residential units and 9,500 square feet of ground floor retail and a rooftop restaurant. Development right now is very difficult because interest rates doubled, so I'm not sure even residential is being affected by that now. Retail has been for some time. This is Neiman Marcus. If you haven't heard, that's going to be an RH, which is Restoration Hardware. And it's, they're basically a compound where they have several interconnected showrooms, but a different, like this is the, I guess, family room here connected to the whatever. So a series of one-story buildings with a courtyard restaurant in the middle. So that's another feather in the cap of Walnut Creek. So congrats to us all. This is called, let's see, 100 and, oh, I lost my place. It's a residential project at the Dutch Girls Cleaners, which is on Mount Diablo Boulevard. And it's going to be a residential project with, oh, here we go, 6-story, 74 units, some low-income housing, dry cleaner, which I assume is Dutch Girl, a brewery, there's our another brewery, and a daycare center. That is in the process right now. Dave Robb Honda. They are in the early stages of coming in for changing some land use designations or as such to do a project on their site. This is kind of by Target and near City Hall. This is it's almost well, they own the entire block. I mean, it's 2.8, almost 3 acres, which is huge. So that, it's going to be a long-term project, but that's exciting. It's better than an auto dealership for downtown. This is called Center Place South by De Nova Homes. It's approved. This is the Pizza My Heart is on your right. Petco's on your left, so it's that corner where KFC used to be south of Habit. And again, economy is probably not the right time. But it's 140 units and no retail. This is the former DMV site. It's called City View, approved project. We owned this property many, many years ago, and the challenge was that darn PG&E tower going down the middle. Couldn't figure that out. This is the project that's been approved. It's 6 stories, 140 residential units, and 2,500 square feet of retail. Last, little personal interest. Blaine, can you stand up? I'm going to embarrass you too. Thank you. Blaine is owner of Cali Craft, local business, great guy. We're super excited to put in our project above Vadavi, was going to be well, might still be the first downtown brewery. We did the rooftop building across the street, so to have another rooftop activated right under the oak tree is going to be amazing. Blaine bought recently Heretic Brewery, so they're bringing in distilling, which will be super cool, so it's not just going to be beer. Super excited about that, and it's going to, I think, just be a beacon for activity downtown. Yes, thank you. Overall, downtown, we are at 6% vacancy, which is the lowest since 2019. Broadway Plaza, before the announcement, I believe, of Old Navy closing, was under 1%. So, they're full. We're hoping to see more tenants look outside of the mall because they can't find space, which would be good for the overall downtown. But Broadway Plaza continues to be a great anchor for the downtown. But these numbers are amazing when you look at a lot of our neighbors. It's retail's tough. A lot of areas are really struggling. We are seeing tons of activity and interest from restaurants that want to get out of Oakland, that want to get out of San Francisco, that look at Walnut Creek as a safe alternative. So retail still has challenges outside of the mall, but I always say that we're looking for the restaurants to elevate our retail. which is the opposite of usually. For Walnut Creek Downtown, we're launching on a vision plan to create a vision for downtown. We're very excited about that. The pods, permanent outdoor dining decks, parklets, whatever you want to call them, we only have one currently. So we are working with the city. We had a meeting earlier this week to relook at that program. So thank you to the city for working with us on that. Outdoor dining was the most popular element of Rebound, so people just tend to love it. Walnut Creek Downtown also formed a 501c3, which is a nonprofit, tax-deductible organization. So Kathy, thank you. She's our executive director. Thank you, and she'll be passing around a hat if anybody wants to throw checks in there. Measure O, tax measure, as mentioned, I want to thank the city for working with us on Measure O. We received funds for the ice rink. We had 30,000 skaters this year, and we added an ice slide, which is really cool for kids or people that don't skate like me. We also, so 30,000 visitors over a few weeks. Oktoberfest, we had 20,000 people in 2 days. So Blaine knows that. Blaine knows that because people like beer. It still amazes me. Also, taking the utility boxes and the big belly wraps, which are the solar recycling and trash stations, we're wrapping those with public art, beautifying the downtown again with Measure O funds. We're doing more downtown stages. People love outdoor music. We're doing 4 Locust Street festivals that used to be called First Wednesday. Now we're just calling them Locust Street festivals. People love it. They've been very well attended. And then four Head West street fairs on Main Street. So that's 8, which people love that activity. And I also just want to give a shout out that the Lesher Center for the Arts is celebrating their 35-year anniversary, which is a huge deal in October. Celebrated that on Broadway, their gala event, and great anchor for the downtown. And lastly, I just want to finish up with thanking the Chamber and Bob for all the work they've done. It's been amazing. And taking the Women's Conference, taking it out of San Ramon and bringing it into our downtown, so it's de facto like a conference center, is amazing. And Art and Wine, which used to be at Heather Farm because of the construction out there. It's now going to be at Civic Park, downtown. Love it. Hopefully it stays there. And events like this. So the partnerships and the creativity and the ideas have been amazing under Bob's leadership, Nicole's leadership. So I just want to say thank you, and that's it.
So if you'd like to book Brian for a comedy act, please contact me after. I want to once again thank our sponsors listed on the slide. We could not do this without you. Some of our upcoming events, our 20th anniversary celebration of the East Bay Women's Conference. Our friends at Kaiser Permanente are our presenting sponsors. We have many, many sponsors, but we couldn't do the kind of an event. We're going to have over 700 people there on the 4th of March, so there may be a few tickets left. Next month, March 11th, we are going to hold something we call History of Walnut Creek. The Chamber will celebrate its 100th anniversary next year, and we're going to gather with some historians or older people that have a perspective on what Walnut Creek was. We have former mayors Bill Armstrong and Sue Rainey, along with 2 past chairs of the Chamber Board, Angie Coffey and Lynn Leach, who was also a former Assembly member. We're going to gather and talk about the history. It'll probably include some photos from Brad Robopera's his database. And then last things to cover in this room, April 16th is our State of the Chamber, where we pass the gavel, recognize legacy organizations. And then finally, Brian mentioned the Art and Wine Festival, May 31st and June 1st in downtown Walnut Creek. So with that, we really appreciate your attendance today. Thank you to my team for helping put it on, and to all of our speakers, Chief, Angela, also Brian, thanks so much, and have a good day, everybody.